Hi guys, this is Becca Feeken with Amazing Paper Grace, and today I'm going to show you how to put together Make a Scene. So this is the Make a Scene die in its packaging, and I'm going to explain that. And I'm also going to use another die, and that is one of the scenes. I'll show you how to put it together and how it gets cut by looking at the die. And this is my copy here. By looking at the die, you won't really understand what needs to happen, and that's because in order for me to design the die and make it small enough and economical enough to put on the market, I had to build some shortcuts in so that you could reuse some elements a couple of different times. No worries, I'm going to show you exactly how this goes together, and also, when you purchase it, there are instructions on how to put it together on the back of the packaging. So, this is the die, and now we're going to get started. In order to make the card base, you should be able to use, if you're going with solids, 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 inch paper. And I simply cut them down the middle so that it's 5.5, and that should be able to help you cut all your panels. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull off this piece right here, and this is the shutter piece. And the first thing you're going to do is flip it over, and you're going to grab some washi tape. And so you're just going to take some washi tape, and I want to put a piece of washi tape from this divot to this divot. So I'm going to measure that about right there. And once you set up this die, it will be set up for a while. You know, you'll just have to change out the washi tape every once in a while. So the other piece is going to go right here. And as I said, just make sure that you cover both of those divots. So now I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to show you another piece. In the package, there are 2 rods that have dotted lines on them. So you'll pull those out, and those will fit right in the divot. Those are going to give us some perforated lines when we cut. So we've got that down. All right, the next thing that we're going to use from the die set is this piece right here, and it's really a holder or a caddy. So if you just pull that out, you'll see there's no cutting lines on this. It's just meant to hold some elements in place, and then you'll just center it in this opening right here. And then you'll also see that there are 3 rods that have holes in them, and this will make sense as we go along. So if you'll pull out all 3 of those rods, the rods will go right here. You'll start with the smallest. Each has a hole in it, and so you want the one with the smallest hole that looks like this, and that you're going to put right here. The smallest hole will always go closest to the perforation line that is closest to this notched edge. Okay, and then we're going to do the next one, and then we're going to do the next one. And now we're ready to cut. So you're going to take your 5.5 inch paper, turn your die down or up, whichever way you prefer. And while you're cutting, it is a good idea to go ahead and cut this at the same time. Okay? And once you do that, you're going to end up with this and this. Okay? So then you're going to bring your die back into the picture again, and you're going to lift this element up and simply change the direction. And we're doing this because we want to cut a mirrored piece, or we want to have a say in which side is the right side, which side is the wrong side. And if, of course, if you're using a pattern paper, that is going to be important. So here again, I'm going to go back to my die cutting machine like this. I'll cut another one of these, and when I do, I am going to end up with this and this. Okay, so that's one part of the cutting. Now you can see that the smallest oval is closest to the perforated line, which is closest to the notch, and same on the other side, and it's exactly mirrored. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next piece. Okay, so the next piece that we're going to cut is this little word that says pull. I'm going to get one of these pieces that we've already cut, and I'll show you how this goes. You are always going to orient the word pull so that the top of the word is toward this notch, and you'll go face down. Now, you can eyeball this if you like, but it needs to go midway. Here's a tip that I like to do. I like to just, one of my pieces of paper that I've cut, I like to go down on this end. I like to use a scrap, and then I typically will cut it the same size as this, which would be right to here. And then I'm going to fold that in half, and that's going to give me just a little guide on where I need to center it. So if I line this up, I can see right there. And then I'm just going to come in with a piece of washi tape. And tape that down like so. Just be sure that you're straight on and as high up on the die as you can be, because it's already set back for you. And you're going to take that to your cutting machine, and you'll end up with this. And you'll actually do that to the other piece, so you'll end up with this. So now we are done with these pieces right here. Okay, the next pieces that we're going to use from this die set are these two rectangular pieces. So with a 5.5 inch piece of cardstock from an 8.5 by 11, you'll simply take this large portion and tape it down, and then you'll run it through the die cut machine, and you'll get this. Okay, so now we'll come back with another piece of paper, and we will cut this again. And it's going to give us this. Now, when you look at this piece of paper, there are going to be 4 tick marks on it: north, south, east, and west. And that's because the die has some tick marks on it. You can see right there, right there, right there, and right there. Those are important because they're in order to guide you. So now that I've cut that frame, I'll pull up the other piece. And this piece has divots. So you'll see a divot at north, south, east, and west. My recommendation is that you have a ruler handy. You're going to turn this upside down, and you'll line up your ruler on the little tick marks that were made when you cut, and then you'll align the divots. Now you can eyeball this. If you're a good eyeballer, go for it. But if you want a little bit of precision in there, you should use a ruler and you should line up these divots. Alright, so once I have that, I will just go in with washi tape, and I try to put it toward the center of the frame because I know I'm not going to use that and the tape won't, I don't want to have to pull off tape that damages my frame. Alright, and so once I've done that, I will have this. Okay, so we are almost done. There's another piece of the die that we're going to use, and that's this. It's the last piece. There is a banner that matches the stamp set that you can actually put on the front, and so you would use that, but this is the last piece we're going to use. So for this piece, you'll see that it has a straight edge and there's a divot. So you will take your frame, and if you remember, I mentioned there's going to be a little tick mark here that was embedded in the die cut when you cut it. So what you're going to do, get a piece of tape handy. You're going to look for the divot, you're going to look for the tick mark and align it with the divot, and then bring this straight edge all the way down to the edge. And then you'll just simply tape it. You're going to do this twice. You're going to do it on this side and you're going to do it on this side. It's going to give you the thumb pull. So once I do that, it's going to look like this. Okay, so these are the pieces that make up the card base. We have this. Oops. We have this, a solid. We have a frame. We have two shutter pieces, and we have two edges. So now I'm going to show you how those go together. Okay, for this model, I like to build it with the front laying down and then build it up to the back. So when I say that, we're going to start out with this frame. If you look at this, there is a nice side, a pretty side in it, and then there's the back side. We want to put the right side or the pretty side down. Okay, now we have these two little guide strips, and you can see on the guide strip that there's a score mark. That score mark is to let you know to keep your adhesive north of the score mark and south of the score mark. I have found, and actually one of our creative team members discovered this, I found that if you use a foam adhesive that has a little bit of depth, this works out very nice. So I'm going to put one of my pieces of adhesive higher than the score line, and one lower than the score line. And then I'm going to pull off only one, the top one, and I'm going to align this centered right along here. Like so. And I've left this free for right now. And so now I need to do that with the other side, and I'm going to put the adhesive on the high side, and then underneath the score line, and I'll attach it, and I'm attaching it even with the edge of the frame, like so, and then I've left it up in the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to use these shutter pieces, and you're going to wonder, well, which side do I use and which side is upright? First of all, these ovals, as they are all matching or in line, are considered the bottom, and also you know, with the word pull on each side. Now, in order to use these, we need to fold along the preparation. The best way to do this is with the word pull facing up, is to just simply fold it in half while you leave the word pull up, and then turn it over and fold this back. Okay, so one of those is done. I want to keep these three that are lined up on the bottom. So I'll put that right here. For this one, with the word pull up, I'm going to simply fold it in half, just like so, flip it over and fold this back. Okay. While we have this in this way, I'm going to take some of this red line tape that's very strong, and I'm going to put it right there. Okay, I have the red line tape in place now, and I have my two pieces done. Well, the way that this goes is these ovals are along the bottom, but the notches go to the outside, like so, and the fold meets in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to just thread this right underneath that guide that we had put down, and we'll thread this underneath the guide that we put down. We'll make sure that our fold meets in the center, and here it's best to use some washi tape. You can do it with your hands if you like, but I just like the washi to hold things down for me while I'm getting them situated. So basically, you want to make sure this meets in the middle right here, and then you want to center it. It is going to come in from the edge just a little bit, and it will be a varying amount depending on the weight of the cardstock that you use. And I'm going to put some washi there and put some washi here. Okay. Now I can take and remove this liner and stick that down, and can do the same on the other side. Okay, and I am making sure that I'm meeting in the middle, and my word pull shows, and now I can take off this red liner. Okay, now that I have the liner removed from my adhesive, everything's in place, meeting at the middle, I come in with this last piece of paper, and as I said before, this is the solid part of the frame. You know that there is a pretty side and a not so pretty side, or right side, wrong side. This is the back of the model, and I like for it to look as nice, so I'm going to make sure to use the pretty side. And now you're going to match that up. While adhering it down. And then I can go in and remove that washi tape. And there is your first Make a Scene base card, and voila. Now at some point you can look straight through and you can actually see a raw edge. You'll want to cut a piece of cardstock appropriate for your design that will lay into the back, that will cover up those edges. And now we are ready to show you how to cut the scenery, and this is how it looks from the side. Always it's going to be the small, the medium, and then the large. Here we have one of the dies that is a scene die, and this is called the Cozy Home. And I'm just going to take a second to show you how it's set up. This is my version, and I have it laid out here so that I can explain. In each scene, you're going to see a little set of dies that looks like this, and for lack of a better word, I call them the goalposts. They're the mechanism that kind of makes everything work. And so then you have 3 scenes, or 3 layers that will go into a scene. This is layer 1, this is layer 2, and this is layer 3. And then the rest of these things up here are embellishments for these items. So in order to make this work, we will cut one like this, where the goalpost will be all the way together. And then we will cut one where we'll snap this into place. It just fits right down here. However, there needs to be a little bit of space in between. Now, on the back of the directions, it will tell you exactly the size of cardstock that you need to cut to do that. It's just a shortcut. Another way is with our die. If you remember, we had these 3 little elements. I'm going to just pull them out because there is a reference line on these ovals. So when we're going through the smallest oval, we want to make sure that whatever we cut is at least this tall. There is a line mark on them. Alright, for this middle one, actually that was the middle one. For the middle one, we're going to align this element, and our goalposts need to be higher than this line. So I'm actually going to bring this in a little bit. It doesn't need to be too high, but it at least needs to be as high as in that line in order for this panel to stay in the card. Alright, and then after that, we're going to bring this one into play. And then our measure will be this. So I need to push this all the way up until the goal post is over that line right there. Alright, so what does this really look like? Let's go back to the first one. On the first one, this is my reference mark. I just use it just to line things up. And I'm down here. They are all the way together. And this is going to be longer than this. And then when I run it through, I'm going to come out with this. Now when you get this, you're going to see that it has not detached from the paper. So you simply just need to pull it. And then it will come out. And if you like, you can clip it with scissors. And so then we will have this. Okay, that was with this one in. Now, if we go on to the second stage, we'll move this up. We'll pull in the medium stick so that we can judge our height. And put the little house into place. And then I'll go to my die cut machine and I'll cut. And when I come back, I'll have something that looks like this. Now, here again, it's not going to release. You'll need to just pull it or snip it, and I'll snip it this time. And now I've freed it on one side. And I freed it on the other. And then also you'll need to trim on this side. So I'm just going to trim even, and I will trim this side even. So we will come up with something that looks like this, and these go outside of the card. So you know, no worries about the place that you need to snip. Okay, so then to get to the third, I'm going to lift this out of the way. I'm going to come in with my third bar that is this tall, and I'll snap this into place. Okay, and this is a shadow for the word, and so I will lift this all the way, oops, so that it's higher, and then I'll take that to my cutting machine and I'll cut that, and once I cut it, it's going to turn out like this. Okay, so here again I have a couple of places to snip just to release it. And a trim, and this is what I have. So I now have 3 pieces to put into the card, and you'll see that they are of different heights. And so this is why you move this to a varying point every time. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'll show you how you insert them into the model. Okay, here we go. So here is the card base. I set this up, and you'll take your first, and what I do is I just come down right inside, and I, from the top, hook in, and then let the bottom go over the edge, and then I come back and again hook in from the top and pull it into place. And now those will stay. Same with the house. I'll come in from the top and I'll just hook and then come to the other side and let the top go through first, and we're there. Alright, and now the shadow layer that holds the words is the tallest, so I'll come in and just hook right in there. I'll let the bottom follow, and it's getting fuller, and then come back over here and let the top of that goal post come into place, followed by the bottom. And so that is how you insert the scenes, and then they close down, they open up, they close down, they open up. And so that is how you put together Make a Scene. Okay, so this is the base that we just put together. And I also have an empty base here just so that I can show you what it looks like with color. So that is here, and this one is empty. Like so. And I wanted to talk to you for just a second about what do you do if one of the scenes in the collection doesn't necessarily match your occasion. Well, you know, with this nifty set of goalposts, you can actually fashion your own insert to go into the Make a Scene card base, or you can make that by hand. So I did that with a piece of clear acetate. You should be able to, you can see it here where it is simply a strip across and 2 strips. And I thought, what is in my stash that I might like? And so I did the little car Sunday drive, and just gonna attach it. And so to put it in here, I would do the same thing where I dip down with the fork and take it over the top and bottom, and then go in the other side, putting that goalpost in first and then letting it come up on the bottom. Okay. And this is a little on the high side, so I'm going to move it down. So voila. So this is how you would be able to use your own elements for an occasion that is not already taken care of by one of the scenes, and I'm just inserting the one. But I think that'll give you a lot of different ideas, and I hope you enjoyed this video on how to assemble the Make a Scene card base.